Hello everyone and welcome to EsraVision. November's magazine is dedicated to looking at some of the situations that may arise when our loved ones simply can no longer take care of themselves. As a result, Ezra has organized an event in which these issues are discussed by a panel working in this field. Make a note in your calendar. Ezra's Senior Dilemma Forum will take place on December the 8th. Details about this important event will be provided at the end of this magazine.
There comes a time when we become our parents' parents. This project began a few years ago when some friends of mine were looking into how to get help through the Israeli bureaucracy. Getting the information explained and the procedures understood in English was also a concern for many of us. How do we manage the system? What other problems might confront us on the way? These are 4 personal stories illustrating a different side of what we call the senior dilemma.
I think I haven't got the energy to push myself into things anymore, and that is my tragedy really, because I would like to be able to do these things but I can't. I used to even work for Ezra.
Eileen is 83 and needs to get the correct number of points in order for her family to hire a legal foreign worker. Bituach Leumi does not agree that she needs 24-hour care. What does the family do?
Understanding the process of how one gets a permanent live-in helper without breaking the law, what permits one needs to get from which government ministry. And this is totally aside from the financial considerations. Do you or do you not get full assistance financially for these foreign workers? And then begins the whole process that went on for the next 6 to 9 months. Not a pleasant experience at all.
Over here. I can't stand on my feet for more than about a minute at the most, and walking along is very, very painful, and the right balance is so untrustworthy. I'm terrified of falling over all the time, you know. So I'm sort of tied to it, but as I say, I have friends over here to play bridge, thank God, because otherwise I would just be a vegetable by now.
The process started with trying to get the appropriate staff at Bituach Leumi on the phone. One tends to sort of give up at a certain point, and I physically went to the office in Netanya on a couple of occasions on my own, once with Mummy, when we wanted to physically show them, like, hey, this is her situation. Can we please get some acknowledgement of the fact that this is a lady who needs help? And now, I went into the offices, again, trying to find who is the name, who is the right person to contact, who do I actually go and see, and as the Hebrew expression goes, lafoch shulchanot, turn tables over. When the social worker came, and after sitting, asking straightforward questions, you know, can you feed yourself, can you lift a knife and fork, show me, pick up a glass, okay, somewhat abrupt, but we'll deal with it. Then she asked Mummy to go into the bedroom and said, get undressed, show me how you take your skirt off, show me how you do this. Go to the toilet, I have to see that you can do this on your own. And I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I walked out of the room at that point and burst into tears. And she comes after me, the social worker, like, what's your problem? I said, what is my problem? You are trying to see how incapable she is or not. I said, I'm looking at a complete lack of dignity, and forgive me, but you know, it doesn't bother you. I won't say you're enjoying it. It's my job, was her answer. So I was blown away by this. Needless to say, my mother did not get the requisite points to get legal permission for her to employ a foreign worker.
I hadn't got permission, I hadn't got enough points.
You were rejected?
Yes. They said I have to apply again. And this happened 4 times altogether. I think I had 4 visits of different nurses, and I had to go in the bathroom each time, I had to go through all the motions each time, and the eating, and they still didn't give me points. In fact, from 4 points, I think I went down to 3.5 or something. They took a point off, or half a point, because I could feed myself.
You were too healthy.
We applied again. Now we are wiser, and now we understand that in order to get the appropriate points, in essence, Mum would have to show that she is incontinent, drooling at the mouth, and dim-witted, and spilling food all over herself, in order to get this level of points. We were given advice, even if she doesn't need them, leave the titulim, the nappies, on the bed to show that she's incontinent. Maybe, don't put any makeup on her. Make her cry a little before the girl gets here. She should be kind of, have a little bit of spit falling down the side of her cheek. You can imagine.
And everybody was telling me, you have to be a good actress, you have to pretend. I said, but I'm not pretending, I'm just me. What I can do, I can do. I try to do more than I can, but it's impossible, and I can't be on my own at night. And that was it.
I understand you do not want people to use and abuse the system. I said, but if you have people like us that are willing to take the financial burden, and we just need your government approval to legally employ this girl, why can't you separate this out? This is a bureaucratic glitch, or it's just a bureaucratic fact of life. With Bituach Leumi, as they explain, you don't get one without the other. If you get the appropriate points to allow you to legally employ a foreign worker, you automatically get the financial assistance as well. We need that to be legal so that my mother isn't in a situation of, we've got this great worker, we're paying her, but she's not legal, and police can turn up in the middle of the night, fine my mother 10,000 shekels and deport this young lady. My mother can't live like that, with the worry that that might happen. Growing old and feeling useful and keeping that level of dignity and pride and everything else, it's a tough one. I mean, I hope I learn from her.
Jackie finally got the points she needed for her mother by using connections she had in Bituach Leumi.
Hello, Deborah. Hello and goodbye. Yes. How are you? All right? Well, good. We're just about to leave.
Okay, there's nothing in my
Yes, I hope to see you soon. I'll speak to you anyway. Okay.
Okay, there's room for Lydia.
Right, love to all. Okay. And you, bye-bye.
Give me the coat, I'll take the coat.
Let's go.
Okay.
Mother,
Okay.
off we go, mother.
Do you want to give me the pins? No.
Helen is 99 years old and had to make Aliyah because she can no longer live on her own in England since she broke her hip while visiting. How does the family begin to make this happen?
I can't lead the same life as I led. Now, where I was very, very independent, always was. But now I've lost that. I need people to do things for me, which annoys me.
It annoys you, even though you smile.
Yeah, it annoys me, it really does, because I'm so used to doing for myself.
Because being on a walker now, she can't even really make herself a cup of tea. And when she was still living in London, she was functioning practically 100% by herself. Up to the last year or so, she was even going out shopping. And only when she came to Israel now, just before Pesach, and she fell over and she broke her hip. So what we realized immediately, she broke her hip, that she would be unable to go back to England, and she'd have to stay here.
It's the only way I can see it. You have to accept. You don't choose, it comes your way, and you make the best of a bad job.
She didn't want to have to stay in Israel. She misses England terribly, and she really, really wanted to stay there. But she says it's a choice between her home, which is her home in England, and her family, which is here. So she said that she had no choice.
We suggested it many times. We were since my father died in 1995, we suggested it all the time. And as you know, I said to her many times, when you come into Israel, the answer always was when I get old.
Well, I kept my word.
When I get old.
When I get
Yeah.
old. Now she's convinced that at 99 she's old.
Okay.
But if she hadn't broken her hip, she would still be in Edgware, Middlesex. She wouldn't be here.
Definitely.
Kind of changed our lives. First of all, we were lucky we were both retired last year, because if we'd still be working, we wouldn't be able to have done half of what we've done, or quarter of what we've done in the last 3 or 4 months. And for example, when we were just now in England, and there was nobody else looking after her, she's almost totally alone by herself and having a very difficult time adjusting mentally to this new life. You know, I can imagine at 50 years old it would be very difficult, but at 100 years old, how much more difficult must it be? And then when you come to Israel, there's a million and one administrative things to do, or it's the Kupat Cholim or whatever. At 99, she's not going to get medical insurance from a private company. So she has to, number two, to employ a Filipino legally, you have to be an Israeli citizen. And all this means running around in an Israeli summer, from office to office and place to place, from form to form, from signature to signature to get everything arranged. Again, luckily, we have the time now we could do it, because if we'd been working people, I don't know how we would have managed.
I'll give you one example. I took her, as soon as she came to Rehovot, I took her into Kupat Cholim, and we already had the forms, but she had to be registered locally. And a couple of days later, I took her to see the one doctor in the Kupa who speaks English, and that's where she gets her medications from now, because the doctor in England said she hasn't seen her for several months, she can't supply them anymore. The people were very helpful from Misrad HaPnim. They came round here to give her her Tudat Oleh.
And took a photograph.
If she were here on her own, it would be absolutely impossible. Impossible.
And that's it. And slowly I'm becoming more Israeli than I ever thought I was going to be. That is really a big wrench, because nobody will give me the attention and take care of me the way they have done. That really is something. You've got to be extremely lucky to have been in, not to be in my position, but to have children take care of you the way they have done to me. Nothing has been too much. Nothing.
Dorothy was a 93-year-old woman who unfortunately suffered many strokes. Her family had decided to put her in an apartment with a 24-hour caregiver because they didn't feel that their mother would like being in a hospital situation. How does a family make sure the person they have hired is right for their parent? How much supervising is really necessary?
My mom stayed in a Huzat Bait for a total of 8 years. Unfortunately, in her 7th year, she had a stroke, which incapacitated her in terms of participating with her friends as she did. There was insult in terms of her cognitive abilities as well as her mobility. It worsened. Again, my mother was 85 at the time, and she was completely independent prior to this stroke. And anyone who could not live independently had to either leave Ahuzat Bayit or go into their CUD. But the fact that my sister and I felt my mother would not be happy in this unit, we made a big decision to move her into her own apartment with her own furnishings and find a caregiver that could meet her needs within her own situation. And that's exactly what we did. And unfortunately, we had two caregivers, one for 2 years and another one for a year, that were really not suitable. For instance, one of the metapellets, the first one, actually left my mother one night with a complete stranger taking her place. And I knew nothing of this. I would have come myself to take care of my mother if there was something urgent that she had to do. That was only one incident. Another one was actually stealing some of my mother's belongings, which we found out later. So it's very, very important to get very, very good recommendations and to be on hand on a daily basis, to be supervising initially until one feels really secure. When we replaced the first one, we replaced her with someone new who had just arrived in the country, and somehow I felt that she could be more flexible and more easily molded to the needs of my mother. And it ended up that I was cooking all of the meals because she forgot to tell me that she had never learned to cook prior to coming. She was young and she was strong and she was loving and she gave my mother the emotional support. But the house was not clean, the cooking couldn't be done, and I found that I was beginning to take on the job responsibilities of the caregiver. We really misjudged, and it was unfortunate because we seemed to value our ability after, but it can happen, and I think that one has to be so aware of who you're bringing into the home. I must say I feel very, very fortunate that we were a family that were able to take on this responsibility and have my mother in her own apartment because we could look after her and the situation. Not everyone has that opportunity, either because of work involvement or other family obligations that would only complicate their life to a point that they couldn't live happily. So I really feel, you know, we were blessed to be able to be in a position that we could take care of this very big responsibility.
Helene was finally able to have a caregiver for her mother Dorothy that was known and loved by the family, as she had been her mother-in-law's caregiver until she died. Mom, we got to talk about some stuff.
Like what?
We have to talk about some important things. My mother, Jackie, was 82 years old and lived and worked independently in America at the time of the filming. She could not ever imagine needing help, and certainly not in any emergency. After all, if she does have an emergency, it's the children's problem, not hers. How are you feeling? How do you think about how you're managing? What do you think about your future, and what are we going to do?
I have plenty of time to worry about the future because I have lots of work to do. And I'm planning other trips, and maybe I'll plan a trip to Israel with another group and show them all the new things that are here in Israel.
We have to think about when you can't do that as
When
much.
I can't do that, I will make a decision when I can't do it.
Okay, but what if we had certain things that we were able to set up in advance so that I don't want to be worried. I'm always worried about having to make decisions in an emergency. The thing is, it's when something happens to our parents who are older, it doesn't just happen to our parents. We have to think about what it means for the family to make arrangements and do these things.
You're only a flight away. That's 11 hours away. It's one day. I don't think that I will ever be, and I really mean, I don't think I'll ever be in that position where you'll have to make a split decision. First of all, with my medical home care and my doctors or friends and your brothers who only live 2 hours away, and with the phone, they pick up the phone, how's my mother, what's happening, what do we have to do, we'll be there in 2 hours. The fact that you're so far away bothers you, but it doesn't bother me because I feel confident that there'll be enough care and supervision. If you don't like it after you come, then you have control, maybe, if I'm not there. But as long as I'm there, you're not going to have control.
That you are able to open a file with the Aliyah desk in Hollywood, Florida, and they'll even come to your house.
Oh, is that?
And you have all the paperwork done, you can have all the files, and nothing happens to this file until you decide you want to come and make Aliyah. Then they stamp it, and that you can even have your medical care. You can have all of this stuff ready for us, so I don't have to do this when you're already incapacitated.
Well, that doesn't sound...
something you would consider?
That's something I might consider.
So that you're saying, I just want to clarify what we're really saying here.
You're saying that you want me to make the application. I'm not putting my date on, but make the application for Aliyah. And when the time comes, it'll all be prepared, and all I have to do is sign to say I'm ready. Is that as simple as that?
That's as simple as that. And then they'll be able to bring you over. But I also want to go over another thing. Because you just said that you will sign a paper, although I'm not sure it's legal, that when you can no longer make the decisions yourself and stuff, you will agree to come here so that I can supervise your care.
I think that's fair.
You really think you can do that?
Yeah.
Are you promising me?
Yes.
Because I don't want to have to worry about this. You know that, right?
No.
Because all of us worry
really.
about this.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know, will you promise to take care of me if I can't go first?
Definitely.
I just got to know that.
Definitely,
sure? Okay.
Definitely. The whole family.
We got a deal? We got a deal. All right. My mother is still quite independent, although her health has been compromised. But she's still all there. These are some of the dilemmas that can affect us and our families. Hopefully, by raising our awareness, we can be somewhat more prepared.
Please call to make reservations for Ezra's Senior Dilemma Forum, which should be a really informative evening. The Senior Dilemma Forum will be held on December the 8th at 7 p.m. at Beit Izzy Shapiro in Ra'anana. For reservations, call 09 748 2957. See you next month, everybody.